Hello, this is Olena of popthepimple.com and welcome to today's live pop talk. We haven't done a pop talk in a little while because I was traveling. I was visiting my family in Western Ukraine, and that was really amazing, where I finally got to introduce my husband as my husband to my family, because the last time he visited a year and a half ago, he was my boyfriend. He was my very serious boyfriend. But we of course discussed marriage at that point, like a year and a half ago. But we weren't engaged and all these things. So it was kind of cool for my family to see us together officially, you know what I mean? And anyway, it was super fun. I'm really happy we did that. We had even a little mini celebration of our marriage with my family in Ukraine, which was so just amazing. It was ridiculously awesome. I got to get my grandma to leave the house, which was so cool. I mean, because she's somebody who grew up literally during the Second World War. Her father actually fought in the Second World War. And so, she has a totally different mindset. Not that it's a bad mindset, it's just different, right? And the mindset is kind of like no vacation, no rest, always working, right? Not leaving the house, not paying for silly shit, extravagant shit, like going to the restaurant would, be considered kind of like an extravagant, useless expense in her eyes. And yet, when she actually got out there, though she didn't want to, I forced her, she enjoyed herself and she loved the nature and, everything. She ended up actually really enjoying herself. And I loved seeing that kind of, seeing her reaction, seeing her happy, seeing her change her scenery, you know what I mean, and experience something new. So anyway, overall, it was such an amazing experience. But also, what was kind of cool about this trip is I was seeing my grandparents in a totally different light than ever before. And I swear this is going somewhere, probably. Because, when grandparents get older, they kind of become a little more childlike almost. They feel a little more fragile now, and I just started perceiving them with so much more love and understanding and compassion than ever before. And I actually listened to a lot of their stories, and I was actually actively interested in their stories, sharing, their how they grew up and all this stuff. And they shared some really amazing things with us, both Thierry and I, and my husband Thierry, for those of you who don't know. And it gave me a lot of perspective on how we live today versus how, my grandparents grew up, because it is night and day, the difference. Especially my grandmother, literally, her father came back wounded, shot in the leg in the Second World War. How hard they worked, how hard they struggled to provide for their families when there was very little food available, period. And it wasn't like you go to the store and get some bread. If you wanted bread, you had to make the bread, But if there was nothing to make the bread from, then you didn't get any bread, you know what I mean? That's the life that they used to lead. And how far they've come in a lifetime, how much they provided for their kids, the opportunities, for my mom especially, because it was a lot of, my grandparents' support and stuff is why my mother and I actually ended up in Canada in the first place. And it put me in such a state of gratitude, and just holy fuck, holy fuck, am I lucky, But it also made me think about the rest of us, it's not just me. It's all of us here who get to watch these pop talks on our iPhones, we are extremely, extremely lucky. All of us, every single one of us. It doesn't matter whether something hurts or doesn't hurt. It doesn't matter how rich we are or how poor we are. We're extremely fucking lucky, period. The times we live in today, it doesn't matter how much the media wants to twist things and, make us afraid of each other, separate us from each other, all this nonsense, judge each other. Doesn't fucking matter. We're actually all extremely, extremely, extremely lucky to live in these times and not those times. That's kind of the message or the main lesson that I got from this experience, hanging out with my family in Ukraine. And especially for those of us who live in developed countries like, Canada, United States, countries of Europe and stuff, we're also extremely, extremely fucking lucky. And, next time you find yourself complaining about traffic, consider some people don't have cars. The next time you find yourself complaining about, I don't know, taxes, consider that you get to make an income to pay taxes. You know what I mean? There's always a bright side to be seen. It's just a matter of choosing to see it, and I don't mean to come on my soapbox here, but I got so much perspective that it's really hard to actually articulate it, because I feel like I would be talking for 3 hours. But Jubek Marie seems to agree. Hi, guys. Sorry, I didn't even say hello. Hello to everyone joining me today. I see all your beautiful faces. Hello. Amazing. So, yeah, the trip was amazing. And a few of you have some questions for me. You DM'd them to me, so I will read them now and discuss some of these things with you because they're really awesome. I always love getting your DMs, your questions. And if you have any questions today, you can post them here in the comments because, that's what we do. Did I even say the whole Pop Talk thing where we joined up? I don't even know if I did the intro today. I just kind of started talking. Okay, let me see. Rugail Ulite says, yeah, I have a pimple, but I'm lucky that I have eyes and I can see it. Yeah, I mean, that's really something that I thought about while I was in Ukraine. The fact that, when my grandmother was growing up, she may have gotten a pimple or whatever, except that in those times, there were so many things that people needed to do in order to survive, to have their basic needs even met, that they didn't have time to worry about a motherfucking pimple, right? So for me, I feel like right now we live in such privileged times that we even have time to be bored, that we have time to think about our childhood traumas. And I did air quotes around childhood traumas. You know what I mean? We have time to think. We have time to make a mountain out of a molehill. We have time for all these things, right? Because we have time. We don't have to bake the bread. We can go to the store and buy the bread, right? We don't have to. But here's the thing. In those times, they didn't just have to fucking bake the bread. They had to make the flour for the bread. They had to literally get wheat, make flour from the wheat, and then make the bread. And sometimes there was no wheat, right? If the crops were fucked in one way or another, like the story of a hail, my grandmother told me there was one instance where there was this huge hail that just knocked out all the crops. So people couldn't harvest any, crops because the crops were fucked. They were all rotten and stuff and destroyed by the hail, right? So those were the times that they lived in. We don't have to face any of these things anymore. It's just a matter of being grateful for what we have and trying to create a better world for those people who maybe don't have so much, right? So anyway, that's just me getting that from my experience. All right, somebody says here, hi, Olena, welcome back. So glad you're going to have a pop talk today. I've been struggling with self-confidence lately, especially during interviews. How can I be more confident and convince them that I'm the right person for the job, even if I don't have the experience needed? I would appreciate if you can discuss this topic on tomorrow's pop talk. Thank you so much. Great question. Confidence questions. Ooh, who can relate? Who wants more confidence? Confidence is certainly something that I value a lot. I think I got it and I love it, and I can't imagine not having it, because I'm like, I can think back to when I was younger, being insecure and, not sure of myself. It fucking sucked. Right? So, how to be, let's see. How can I be more confident and convince them that I'm the right person for the job, even if I don't have the experience needed? It's all about your energy, isn't it? Right? Like, our reality is a reflection of our vibration, as I like to remind you guys. So when you're in alignment, when you're feeling good, you can walk in there and be yourself, be your magnetic, excellent, worthy self, right? And just with that energy alone, just by feeling good, you'll know what to say. They'll feel your vibe and they'll want to work with you just because of that. The thing is, with jobs, it's not necessarily your skills that are necessary. It's what you bring, how you make the other person feel, what you bring to the table energetically that makes a bigger difference. Like, say I was totally down on myself all the time. It doesn't matter how amazing my skincare knowledge was. Nobody would want to work with me if I made them feel like shit. Right? Like, so it really comes down to your energy, how you feel about yourself, right? It's not about convincing them that you're worthy. It's you knowing that and being confident in that knowledge, right? So we always kind of make it about somebody else, about like, how do I control my environment? How do I convince this person of that? How do I make this person do that? But it's never about that. It's never about that, right? It's about you, how you feel. And when you are in alignment, when you feel good first, and when you don't make you getting the job or you not getting the job mean anything about you, then you can go in there and be your best self easily without putting any pressure around it. And then they're just like, wow, she's fucking amazing. We haven't had a candidate like her walk in. She made me feel great. Like, that was so good, No, remember what you made them feel, as opposed to your skills, experience, and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And you can always learn on the job, and you can tell them, I'm such a great fucking learner. I pick things up so easily. If there's anything I don't know nowadays, there's Google. And that's how I pick things up, Yeah. So I think that's the most important thing, is just getting into alignment and realizing that you getting the job, you not getting the job doesn't mean anything. And I've been there. I've been interviewed so many times for work back in the day. Like, there was once upon a time, I literally paved the pavement, excuse me. paved. No, what the fuck is the expression? Beat the pavement. Oh my God, I'm like having such a brain fart moment. I haven't been doing these pop talks in a while. When you go and you like give out your resume, and there's an expression for this, beat the pavement. What the fuck is the expression? Anyway, yeah, there was a time when I would just have like a thing of resumes, and then I'd go and give them out, and do interviews and stuff like that. And it was just all about personality. It always is. Hi, Olena the violinist. Good to see you. Yay, 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 yay. Yeah, so I hope I answered the confidence question. Again, it's feel good first, believe that you got this. And again, don't put so much pressure on the outcome, because sometimes it doesn't matter. Like, if you get the job or you don't get the job, it's for your highest good, right? So just trusting that it's going to turn out the way it needs to turn out for your highest good, not necessarily for what you want right now, because sometimes what we want right now is rooted in fear. It's like, this is fine. I'll just take it. I don't know if anything better exists. This is totally fine. It's fine. Just give me this job. I'll take it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You know what I mean? So sometimes that's the actual intention behind what we want. Fear, and not love, not real passion, not real growth or whatever, you know what I mean? And so sometimes the universe filters that shit out too. So it's important to be like open to whatever happens. And open, I mean to seeing the good in whatever happens, right? Because it is still for your own good. And sometimes we can be so clouded with, or I guess blinded, I should say, with expectation, thinking, oh, this situation needs to go this way, and then that's the right thing for me. When sometimes it goes another way, and that's actually a way better option for you that you may not be aware of, right? So I hope that kind of takes the pressure off a little bit, because I can understand, like, when we go into interviews and we're looking for a job, we like really like want it. But I think if you can relax into it more, then you can have a more fun interview experience, and then the people there are more likely also to hire you, right? So yeah. Remember, you're worthy, so you can't come in there like a fucking beggar. Right? Pounded the pavement. Thank you, Jennifer Lynn. Pounded. That was the expression. It's just like I instantly blanked. I may have even said it, but then blanked on it and had no idea what I was saying. Thank you so much, Jennifer Lynn. Bethy Bobana says, definitely relate to this. I've been unemployed for the past several months, and I've been to so many interviews, but just can't seem to get a job. Yeah, I mean, for a while there, I was working part-time for an app. At the same time, I was working at a restaurant as a server. Like sometimes you work where you can work, in order to make the ends meet, and that's totally fine, right? There is no shame in that whatsoever. I know some people, they just look for a certain kind of job and they won't look anywhere else, and it's like, it's about being creative and being open, because those experiences can really help shape you. Like me being a server, it just for some reason came out of the blue, this inspiration, and I decided that that's what I wanted to do. And so I took some bartender lessons. I thought I wanted to be a bartender, and I wasn't able to get a bartender gig yet, so I was a server, and that being a server was huge for me in terms of becoming a better extrovert, because I thought I was kind of shy and blah, blah, blah. I had all these limitations, right? As to what I could do or be or how I behave and blah, blah, blah. And so being a server really put me outside of my comfort zone and was an amazing experience in terms of, interpersonal growth and interpersonal skills. It was fucking awesome, but very, very hard. It's not an easy job whatsoever. I never multitasked so hard in my life. But you know what I mean? Like even those kinds of experience that feel like stepping stone experiences, there's still a lot you can take from them, especially if you aim to be excellent in whatever you do. There is no such thing as like a meaningless job. It's your attitude about the job that makes the job meaningless or meaningful, right? So me, I got a lot of meaning, I guess, creating really nice experiences for my guests at the restaurant, right? Back in the day. And I made some great relationships with many guests and or my fellow servers, right? I think one of them was a client, a routine review client even, and we have a great relationship ever since. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I feel like every experience in life is there for a reason and can be really magnificent if we allow it to be, right? Because often we just block what is available, what the love, the abundance, the fun. Like sometimes we block it because we have all these expectations of what our lives should look like, right? And so, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is just be open to whatever happens and just like take it in and appreciate it, because seriously, it's amazing. No matter what. It's amazing. Alrighty, next question. Let's see here. Olena, love that you are back and your vacation looks beautiful. Thank you. I have a quick question. If it's not too much trouble, could you share that figure of different vibrations of thought? You spoke about it in one of your videos and I couldn't find it online, so if you can, I would really appreciate it. Thanks. This is such a great question, and what this person is referring to is our emotional guidance system and how we have very high frequency emotions and low frequency emotions. And the high frequency emotions, they attract other high frequency experiences, right? And then the low frequency emotions, they attract low frequency experiences. So when you're fucking sad, you'll attract more sadness and more things that make you sad, more sad thoughts if you're having sad thoughts, right? When you're happy, then you're attracting more happy thoughts, you're attracting happy people and happy circumstances, and you're like, holy fuck, my life's amazing, right? So like attracts like, and the universe is an inclusive one. So when we focus on what we want, we get more of what we want. But when we focus on what we don't want, we get more of what we don't want. And the choice is ours. And I actually got this diagram for you. I'm going to put it up now so that I can illustrate what I'm talking about in a visual. I hope this helps you right here. Maybe this one's better. Here we go. So for our listeners, I am showing a diagram that basically illustrates our vibrations and the vibrational frequencies of our emotions. So the top ones, the high vibe emotions or vibrations or whatever you want to call them, it's all the same thing, is enlightenment, peace, joy, love, reason, acceptance, willingness. And then below willingness is neutrality. So neutrality is a good one, right? It's neither bad nor good. I mean, bad or good don't really exist anyway. But then the low vibing emotions are shame, guilt, and I'm going from the very bottom. Shame, guilt, apathy. I can't see what that is. Oh, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. So I hope this kind of shows you a little better this concept of your emotions having a frequency and what it all means. And the point is to control your thoughts, because many of us, we just think on autopilot. That's the problem. That is literally the only problem that we ever have, is that we're allowing our thoughts to run the motherfucking show, right? Our thoughts about something determine how we feel about the thing. It's not the thing itself that is either bad or good. The thing itself is neutral always. We have to remember this, that nothing is ever good or bad. It's always fucking neutral until we decide what thoughts we want to have about the thing. And it's our thoughts that make the thing positive or negative. Otherwise, again, it's neutral. Right? So if we choose really loving and expansive thoughts, we go on an upward spiral, as you can see there on the left, where we experience contentment, hopefulness, optimism, positive expectation, belief, enthusiasm, passion, joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation. So all good things, right? But when we choose to see things from a negative perspective, because again, this is a choice, it's a choice in what thoughts you want to entertain, right? Then we go down a negative spiral. And it will start with boredom, then pessimism, then frustration, irritation, impatience, then overwhelmment, disappointment, doubt, worry, blame, discouragement, anger, revenge, hatred, rage, jealousy, insecurity, guilt, unworthiness, fear, grief, depression, powerlessness, victim, right? So we go from a place of empowered vibration to a place of totally fucking disempowered vibration. And so whatever vibration we're maintaining is what is mirrored back at us in our environment, in our reality, right? What we perceive outside of us then is a reflection of how we choose to feel inside, right? So I'm gonna get rid of this picture now. Here we go. I hope that made sense. So alignment is simply choosing to think better feeling thoughts. And those better feeling thoughts will make you feel better. And therefore, the things in your experience will also reflect that inner being. Literally, what you are being. Because you're a human being, not a human doing, right? So often we think, ooh, I need to do something in order to change my circumstances. But if you do stuff when you're totally out of alignment, when you're feeling shitty, when you're feeling low, when you're feeling disempowered or vengeful or whatever, angry, you'll notice that you're going to create damage with your actions. You're not usually going to create positive change. You're probably going to create negative change. You know, when you're really angry and you call somebody and you yell at them, that wasn't a very aligned move, right? It didn't feel good for anybody, and you just actually spewed that anger and shared it with somebody else. So now that person will go and share with somebody else, and you've just started a chain reaction. I kind of think of it as you had a bucket of shit and you didn't know what to do with it, so you went and sprayed whatever you could with that bucket of shit. Right? And that's what we do when we're out of alignment. We walk around with a bucket of shit, spraying our reality with this bucket of shit, right? But when we're feeling good, when we're feeling happy, when we're feeling aligned, then we're walking around joyful, and that joy is contagious. And so when we're radiating that joy, we're inspired to take certain action, and that action will result in positive outcomes for anyone involved, right? And that's kind of the difference. That's why you want to only really act out of a place of alignment and not out of alignment. It's like, when you have an argument with your, say, boyfriend, when you have an argument with your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and you're mad at them, you go, I'm gonna leave you. That's it. I'm done with you, right? Like you want to run away. You want to cut all ties with them, but you're only doing that because you're out of alignment. If you were in alignment, you would try to be understanding, right? You would try to find common ground. You would be behaving totally differently, and you would not be self-sabotaging. So when we're out of alignment, that's when we tend to really self-sabotage a shit ton. And that's when we try to separate from each other, right? But when we're in alignment, we try to connect. So it's like a totally different energy of connection versus separation. And connection is the only thing that is true, right? Separation is a big fucking illusion that causes so much pain for us humans, that like nothing causes more pain than this fucking illusion of separation that we create for ourselves, right? And so a lot of people, when they're out of alignment, what they tend to do is try to control their outside circumstances first, right? Because they're like, I need to change this thing outside of me, and then I'll be happy, and then I'll find my alignment. But it doesn't work that way, right? You just gave your power away. You're disempowered now. So it means that anything that ever changes outside of you will change how you feel inside. But if you feel, or if you choose to be kind of, like, how do I say this? Happy, but consistently happy, just because you deserve it, that's who you are, that's what's natural to you, it actually is, then you'll find that outside circumstances may change all the time. Surprises may occur, twists in the plot may occur, but you'll face them with so much grace, so much gratitude, that you'll just see the solutions left and right. They won't faze you so much, right? You'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't expect this, but what can I do? This, I can do this. Oh, great, done, great, perfect timing. And then you'll say the phrase, oh, perfect timing, instead of like, why is this happening? This wasn't supposed to happen. And I think this is a really important human skill to have and to flex: alignment, being consistently happy for no reason, not making something outside of you the reason for why you're happy. And many people lack this understanding, and many people, they behave as though the world owes them something, right? Like they behave as though, my boyfriend sucks because he's not doing exactly what I expect him to do. No, it's your perspective that fucking sucks. And because your perspective sucks, it's likely why your boyfriend isn't doing the things that you expect him to do, right? So we look at things really backwards often, and then we end up blaming outside circumstances for why we're experiencing this unwanted thing in front of us, when it's really our vibe that dictates what we are experiencing. Does this make sense? I hope it does. And this is really, really important. Really important, okay? Like, super important. Let me see what you guys are saying. Where the sun met the moon 24 says, hi, Olena. Sometimes when I focus positively, instead of being afraid and worried, there's a voice in my head telling me that I'm just fooling myself and escaping what is. How to address that? Well, this is an extremely good question. Thank you so much for sharing. You are not the only one. For a time when I first kind of began delving into all these spiritual principles, I too doubted it. I too was like, what if I'm just fooling myself? What if like all this is just made up shit, right? But That's what the ego loves to do. The ego loves to tell you that life needs to be hard, that you're just fooling yourself, that the other shoe will drop and shit will go into like a chaotic place, and you'll have to figure out all these things, and it'll be so hard, right? But the way to know the difference, in terms of if your thoughts are correct or true, or if they're fucking nonsense lies, is how they feel. So if a thought feels good, like if the thought like, yeah, look, my life gets to be easy, right? Like, duh, of course it gets to be easy. I'm a child of God. Like, duh. Like, it gets to be easy, it gets to be sparkly, it gets to be flowy. I get to have health, abundance, clear skin, all the things I want. I get to have them all because that's what's natural. Doesn't that feel good when you think that? Like, I just said it and instantly I feel better. Like, I just feel super fucking good when I say these things. But when I say, oh, my life is so hard, things are so complicated, oh, my boss was so, I don't have a boss. My boss was so annoying today. And, like, what if I'm just fooling myself and really these dreams that I have of being this amazing skin coach, what if I'm just fooling myself? And like, what if like nobody actually gets any help from what I do? And oh, I can't even say this stuff with a straight face because it's so ridiculous. But what I have to say is, once upon a time, I would have had these thoughts. I certainly have entertained these thoughts in the past when I doubted myself and when I wasn't so fully locked in knowing who I am, right? And knowing who I am, like the big self, right? Not the little self. Because it's what am I trying to say? So back when I didn't know who I am, it was easy to believe these doubtful thoughts, these fearful thoughts, because I didn't know what they were rooted in, right? So if they're rooted in fear, they're just innately not true and totally fucking unnatural. That's why they feel shitty. You guys, you have to understand that when you feel good, that is the only natural thing. Like, if you don't feel good, you are practicing something that is unnatural. That's why it doesn't feel good. Like, that's it. Like, it's that simple, right? It doesn't feel good to be sick. It doesn't feel good to be poor. It doesn't feel good to struggle. These things don't have to be a part of your experience, right? But many of us, we kind of don't realize that they don't have to be part of our experience. And so we don't work on our inner being, how we be, right? We don't work on our thoughts and our vibration. And instead we blame the outside circumstances, right? So back to your question, the voice in your head telling you that you're just fooling yourself is rooted in that fear, right? It is a lie. It doesn't feel good. It's unnatural. And it will never feel good to you to believe that you're fooling yourself when you believe that things get to be, awesome and light and happy. Like, here's the thing though, when you finally embody that things really truly get to be easy and that you get to be happy, and that's what is actually natural to you, you'll notice that when random weird shit happens in your life, you won't be as affected by it. You'll just kind of observe it like a cloud passing in the sky, and you won't have so much emotion and drama around these things anymore. It's really wonderful because it allows you to take a step back and actually enjoy the experience of being human, right? Without all the drama and the meaning. Oh, this means this. Oh, this means that, because you'll understand that that's just your ego, and you'll observe those thoughts as egoic thoughts, and you'll know the difference, right? And that's really, really empowering and really, really freeing. So not believing those thoughts is a really important kind of awareness, and realizing the difference, between the positive and the negative thoughts, and like that some are true and then the others are not. Like, that's really, really powerful. We have to understand that we have 70,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are just fucking bullshit. Like, most of them are meaningless, totally meaningless. There's only a few there that are inspired and loving and fucking excellent, And so we have to start being more discerning with our thoughts and being more discerning with the thoughts that we actually listen to, because most of them will convince you of lies. Oh, you're not good enough. Oh, are you sure you want to ask him that? What if he says this or that? Like, that's rooted in fear, in doubt, insecurity, not helping, not true, not at all true, right? So I hope this answers your question. Yay, I love this stuff. You guys are the best. Bethy Bubana says, how can we get back in alignment when we are feeling all these negative feelings like fear and doubt and worry? Well, I think the important thing is to start our day wanting to be in alignment, to start our day wanting to feel good, to start our day making feeling good a priority. And I actually have created a meditation around this that it's not complete yet, but it's, I'm just telling you about it because the question is kind of that. I created this meditation mainly for myself, for me to remember who I am and for me to remember to stay aligned first thing in the morning to the end of the day. For me to remember that it's not optional. Alignment isn't optional. A consistent experience is what I'm saying, right? That being out of alignment is optional, whereas being in alignment is not optional. What am I trying? Am I even making sense? Because I have no idea what the fuck I'm saying. I'm saying that being consistently happy can be the norm, while being, upset and blah, blah, blah can be the exception, right? And many people actually live the opposite way, where being happy is the exception and being upset, drama and all this arguing and fighting and anger is the norm, right? And we get to choose how we live, but many of us, we don't actually actively try to fucking feel good. We make it always conditional upon something happening or not happening. Like, I'll be happy when, right? That's a common thing. But literally, it's impossible. It's fucking impossible for you to manipulate your environment in such a way for you to be happy. It's, for many people, it's a certain amount of money. For many people, it's clear skin, right? And yet, I have clients who have written to me and they said, I thought that once I get the clear skin, I'll be happy. And then I got the clear skin and I realized there's other things that I'm working on now, like to accept myself, to forgive myself, and blah, blah, blah. So it was never really about the clear skin. It was about accepting myself, right? And so, happiness is not something that you strive for, otherwise you will be striving forever and you'll never actually get this experience, because that's what it is. It's an experience. That's what it's not, is an experience. It's a decision that we all have to make literally every single moment of every day. Otherwise the ego thoughts come in there and go, hey, check this out. This cup of tea, it's half empty instead of half full, right? That's what the ego mind wants. It wants you to seek, but not find, right? That's what it will do for you. And that's the trick of the mind. And so once you're aware that this trick is being played on you, you become smarter. You begin outsmarting the ego. And you begin, choosing okay, these thoughts over here, they really don't serve me. I can observe them like objects, like clouds in the sky, give them no energy, and I can train myself to think differently. Because literally, I think that's really important for all of us to do, is to train ourselves to think differently, and it takes practice. So how do we get back into alignment when we are feeling all these negative feelings like fear, doubt, and worry? Well, firstly, negative feelings, they're not really negative. I don't like labeling things like positive and negative. It's high vibe or low vibe, which doesn't mean positive or negative. It just means it just is, right? This is a full spectrum of human experience, meaning you will feel fucking anger. You will fucking feel fear. You will feel shame. You will feel guilt and all these things. You'll feel depressed. You'll feel anxious. But the point is to allow yourself to feel those things without judging them as negative, right? To see what that really means. And what it really means is that you're just taking a detour from what you really want. You know what I mean? You're not surrendering into the process. You're trying to control something outside of you. That's what it usually means, right? You're entertaining some limiting thought about something. That's why you're feeling the guilt or the fear or whatever, right? And once you realize that that's what's happening, you can let go of the anger, you can let go of the sadness. You don't have to hold on to it forever. Because many of us, we don't allow ourselves to feel these feelings because they're fucking negative, and that, because of that label, right? And that creates blockages, energy blockages in our being that stick around for ages. And then what's interesting is, then we create this reality around ourselves trying to protect those wounds. So say you got rejected as a kid, or that's how you felt. You felt like people don't love you. Now you create this armor around you, not allowing anybody to get close to you because you don't want to feel that rejection again. So now what you're doing is you're protecting that fear, trying not to feel it, but then it grows bigger and bigger and bigger inside of you, right? So because you didn't want to feel that rejection, because you gave it all this meaning, and because you keep thinking about it over and over and over again, you don't allow it to actually pass through you. You're like, oh, I don't want to feel this way anymore, because you are so afraid of feeling rejection because it's so negative, right? You're like, resisting. And then you create an experience. Your whole life is built on this foundation of resisting rejection. And then you'll end up probably creating a shit ton of it that way, just because you're so afraid of it. Or you'll live a really sterile life, avoiding a lot of experiences because you're so afraid of rejection, right? Because you were so afraid of feeling it, because you felt it once, you didn't like it. Now you're preventing yourself from feeling it. So you try not to have friends, you become a loner, you end up staying at home all the time, blah, blah, blah. And then you avoid such a huge, amazing spectrum of experiences, because though, human connection can sometimes result in a thing of rejection, it also can result in a shit ton of magic, a shit ton of laughter, a shit ton of love, a shit ton of connection that we all crave, right? So it's interesting, resisting feeling anger and all these things, they really can fester, and they really can create all kinds of unnecessary blockages inside of us, and lead us to create lives based on these fears. That's the scariest part. That is the scariest part. That's something I don't wish upon anybody, right? So we have to learn to live courageously, meaning we have to learn to actually feel our emotions. If I'm angry, I just label it angry. Okay, I'm angry. Why am I angry? Some stupid ass reason. Doesn't really matter why I'm angry, but I'm angry. But just saying that I'm angry already takes some air out of the anger. You know what I mean? And then I don't have to explain to myself why I'm angry, but I could just feel it in my body and allow it to pass, And then once it passes, once I let it go, once I just breathe through it, then it's gone. But if I resist it, feeling the anger, I'll create a bigger clump of it in here, and then it will stick around, and I'll pretend like it's not there, but it's there because I didn't let it go. It's ironic. I hope this makes sense. It's a little bit maybe complicated. Where the Summer Met the Moon 24 says, thank you. Also, would a course in miracles suit a person who is not into Christianity? A Course in Miracles is not at all Christian, but it uses the term God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. So when I started reading it, I was like, oh, fuck, because I don't like anything religious. And I'm like, it's Jesus. Okay. But then literally it just blows your mind I don't know, it's almost every sentence is what? Because it totally shifts religious ideas into what they really were meant to mean the entire time. Because a lot of religious symbolism and interpretation was misinterpreted and turned into something fucking insane, right? And it just depends who the author was and who misinterpreted the shit, because it was basically a means to, it's like propaganda a little bit, But this book, it really explains everything. I read some pages this morning, and it was just so good. I really highly recommend A Course in Miracles to anybody who is interested in furthering their own spiritual practice. Just read it with an open mind and don't be afraid of the religious words in there, because they are used totally unreligiously. And there is so much logic in these books that I've never seen so much logic in anything like spiritual like this. It's so ridiculously well written and just over the top amazing. So yeah, just give it a shot, but it's A Course in Miracles is a book that many people resist because it's like, it's so random. A Course in Miracles, what is it about? Miracles, really? And then if you start reading the words atonement in there or crucifixion, and you're like, what the fuck, but the way it's explained, you'll know what I'm talking about once you actually give it a shot. I resisted a lot of these books in the past, and my theory is that my ego was not ready for them. My ego was not ready to like fucking die, I still really wanted to practice this whole split brain thing, where I think that we're separate, you and I, and you suck, and you're responsible for why I feel bad and all that shit, right? So once I kind of got tired of suffering, that's when those books really fell into my lap. All of them, like Conversations with God, A Course in Miracles, the Law of Attraction books. And that's when I was really willing and ready to hear the lessons and implement them, And so we all kind of come to this stuff at different times in our lives. There's no pressure for you to read any of these things whatsoever. Read it when you feel up for it, when you feel in alignment, because that's when you're more likely to really like have an amazing experience going through them. Like I did. It was so miraculous. I'm telling you, it was like coming home, and that's what it feels like. That's what the truth feels like. It feels like home. It just feels natural. And what doesn't feel natural is feeling bad and lies. And I mean lies with a capital L. Things that are totally untrue and totally unnatural. They just don't feel good. Bright Eyes says, how can you combat negative feelings when in search for your soulmate? Ooh, I love anything soulmate related. You know this about me. Like if it feels like your vibe and attitude are positive, but nothing happening, you're not finding love and your expectations are crushed. So you go back to feeling miserable and asking yourself, what is wrong with me? Ooh, okay. So there's lots of telling things in your question. The way you ask the question is very telling as to your vibration. Like, how can you combat negative feelings? Firstly, you cannot combat them, right? When you try to fight against something, you're including it into your point of attraction. So if I say, no, I don't want acne, then I get acne because I just said acne. No, I don't want acne. My focus is still acne, right? So when we fight against loneliness, we say, I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be lonely. We literally create that loneliness, right? So when you're in search of your soulmate, what's interesting is a lot of people, when they're in search of their soulmate, they are lonely, right? And they feel like there's something wrong with them, that they haven't found this person yet. For a lot of people, that's how many single people feel like. It's like, what's wrong with me? That person's happy. What the fuck's wrong with me, right? And you see, it's not the circumstances. It's your thoughts about the circumstances. Meaning, it's the fact that you have given yourself being single the meaning that, there's something wrong with you, right? It's not that there's actually something wrong with you, right? Do you understand the difference? These subtle things are extremely important for us all to grasp, because when we do, then we can really move forward gracefully and change our point of attraction to actually attract this person into our lives, right? So she says, like, if it feels like your vibe and attitude are positive, that's the thing. If your attitude and vibe are positive and you're still not seeing results, then are your attitude and vibe positive? And here's the thing. We usually stop believing like right before the thing happens. This is a very, very important consideration. Like, if you want clear skin or your soulmate or a certain amount of money in your bank account, you want it, okay. And then it doesn't happen tomorrow. So tomorrow you're upset. But it could have happened after tomorrow. But you already got upset. You already stopped believing. You already blocked it. Does this make sense? Like, it's the disbelief It's the unworthiness that comes back. And that's what blocks it. It's not that it's unavailable. It's already 99.9% complete. It's yours. The soulmate is there. But how are you blocking him? Like, and I think the way it's happening is, you said finding love and your expectations are crushed. The fact that you have these expectations, right? And the fact that you allow them to be crushed. How can they be crushed when you haven't met the guy yet? You know what I mean? Like how can you be crushed? You haven't met him. He's out there waiting to come into your life, and you're feeling crushed. There's no point in feeling crushed yet. You know, like, he has to actually come into your life. And then you can decide if you want to be crushed. Does this make sense? It's very premature, this feeling crushed thing, you know, choosing to see what's wrong with yourself. Ooh. So you go back to feeling miserable and asking yourself, what is wrong with me? Because I think that you haven't stopped feeling miserable. Does this make sense? Sometimes we fool ourselves. Like, say I'm miserable. Okay, I'm miserable that I'm alone. I hate being alone. Where is my soulmate? Where is my soulmate? Okay, I'm gonna practice some positive thinking for a day or a week. You know, I'm gonna be like really optimistic. Okay, I know he's out there. I know he's out there. And then I go to a cafe. I didn't meet a guy there. Okay, I go to a club. I didn't meet a guy there. I did some online dating for this 1 week. Didn't meet anyone awesome there. A week goes by. I'm fucking crushed. He's not out there. Where the fuck is he? For perspective, guys, for perspective, if you're somebody out there, if you're single and you're looking for your soulmate, for perspective, consider that I wanted my soulmate when I was like 8. I met him 20 years later when I was 28, okay? That's how that shit works. But I held out for my actual soulmate. I don't use that word. I call it more like creation or dream person, as in somebody I've always wanted. And finally, he's here. You know, he's the guy that I imagine. Not a bit shorter, not a bit taller, like exactly the guy. You know what I mean? So I held out for that guy. That's why maybe it took 20 years. I could have been with some subpar soulmate years ago. But I was like, nope, that's not my person. I'm waiting for my person, right? And many people do settle along the way because they lose hope. They think, oh, well, this guy's good enough for now, because what if I never find my soulmate? That's how most people think. Me, I wasn't one of those people. I was like, he's fucking out there. If I exist and I'm this amazing, then an equally amazing person has to exist. It would make no sense if this guy didn't exist, like the perfect guy for me, right? So the perfect soulmate for you, or the perfect partner for you, does exist. It's just a matter of you also being that perfect partner for your soulmate. I mean, this is a complex issue, but I think the most important thing is to maintain your sovereignty, meaning if some outside circumstances make you unhappy, then you are not sovereign yet. You're still dependent on something outside of you. And as long as that happens, you're kind of like just blocking shit from entering into your experience. You know what I mean? And this will take some practice. And the one thing that helped me, and everyone needs to read this, it's called 27 Soul Perspectives. My friend Danielle Lynn wrote it. It's available for free at daniellelynn.com. If you DM me, I'll send you the link. And it is the best thing ever. And when I was meeting, or after I met my husband, I was reading that every single night while we were dating, because my ego was like, oh, what if, he's not the one? I mean, no, I didn't know he was the one, but my ego was like, what if you're not good enough? What if you're not pretty enough? What if you're not smart enough? What if you're not funny enough, like for this guy? And I was reading this 27 Soul Perspectives every night before bed, working on my worthiness, making sure that I was solid in knowing who I am, and that my ego couldn't sway that, And many of us, we aren't solid in who we are. And the only difference, by the way, is just remembering versus forgetting. Sometimes we forget who we really are. And we need to remind ourselves over and over and over again that we're worthy, that we're amazing, that we're good, that we're truly, truly good, that we deserve the best, that feeling good is natural, and that is the only way, right? Because when we forget, we act like not ourselves. So when you're feeling miserable and you're asking yourself, what's wrong with me? That is not your true self. That is you forgetting who you really are. And the more often we do that, the more often we really block, again, the love, the ease, the abundance, the health that is available to us, you know? So it's really a matter of remembering more than we forget, you know? And it's a matter of surrounding yourself with people that remind you. It's reading the books, you know, the material that reminds you of who you really are, worthy, enough, amazing, a gift to this world and to your partner, right? But when we forget, what's interesting is when we forget who we really are, we act like subpar versions of ourselves. Like, you know, when you're fucking pissed off or when you're feeling unworthy, you act a different way. You'll be more snippy with people. You might be more rude. You might feel more entitled. You know what I mean? It might feel like people owe you shit. Their time, or pulling out chairs for you, or whatever, buying you trips. I don't know. You know, and then you might actually literally block that amazing person from treating you the way you want to be treated just because your vibe is off. Like, it really all comes down to our vibe and remembering who we really are and connecting to that real part of ourselves that feels good. That's how you know that you're connected, that it feels good. And I understand that it could feel sometimes hard to be like, I'm worthy. I definitely am worthy. He's out there, blah, blah, blah. But you have to enjoy your life, even if your soulmate isn't there yet. And this is speaking from personal experience. When I was chasing guys, you know, and chasing my soulmate, and I wasn't happy with my own life, I wasn't attracting my dream man because I wasn't happy with my own life, the way I created it. So what I started doing was being happy with my own life, being happy with myself, taking care of myself, putting my feeling good as a priority, right? Exploring the world the way I wanted to explore it without being like, oh, you know, I have all these expectations of how. No, I was just going with it, feeling good, feeling supported, and all these things. And then he walked into my life. He only walked into my life when I was happy. And that's how love happens. True love is when you're in alignment. That's when that person will walk into your life. In fact, you don't want them to walk into your life when you're out of alignment, because then you'll fuck up that relationship. That relationship will not be the most amazing relationship. Many people, they exit an old relationship that they hated. It sucked. And then they get into a new relationship, you know, out of alignment. That's how they get into the new relationship. And then they experience the same old thing. And they're like, how the fuck? How is it that I keep experiencing the same thing over and over and over again? Because you're the same you, and you are maintaining the same vibration that's reflecting. I mean, that your reality is then reflecting back at you, your vibration, right? So you want to be super fucking in alignment when that person walks into your life. Very self-sufficiently happy, right? Independently happy of anything outside of you. Oh, and then that relationship will be easy, flowy, sexy, gorgeous, and all the things that you want. Does that make sense? I hope I answered your question. And we have a minute remaining, a minute and 30 seconds. So thank you so much for joining me on this Pop Talk. This was Olena of popthepimple.com. And if you need any help with clear skin stuff, then go to popthepimple.com/links. I have amazing links there for you, including to my routine review service, my totally free 28 days of clear skin video series, and so many other things. So go check it out. See you guys next time.